Candice, thank you so much for coming to the show. I'm incredibly excited to talk to you because your platform is definitely a breath of fresh air compared to mine. you are you're an author and a motivational speaker based in Chicago, and I want to know your story. I want to know who and what motivated you to become a motivational speaker in the first place.
Thank you. Well, first, let me just say thank you so much for offering your platform to be able to speak about mine. Um, you are actually one person who inspired me
Oh my
to
gosh.
start to honestly to start to use social media to speak to people.
Mhm.
Um, I think, I don't think, I know that I often shied away from doing so because I wanted to, for so long, kind of stay behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And I realized through time that it's not my choice, it's my calling to speak about these things.
Mhm.
And it's very important because if I'm sitting around waiting for someone else to do it, it's never going to happen.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I saw you, and you were one person who I just was like, wow, he is not afraid to just say how he feels and put it out there. And I really, I looked up to that. And so that was one reason I decided to take this route. Um, I think I started off doing more romance, more erotica, basically, when
Mhm.
I started writing out back in the day. And the first book I published was actually a children's novel.
Mhm.
And it was for a friend of mine who was having her first child. And, you know, last couple of years, it's been a little crazy. And so what I realized is that I needed to help people understand their value, because somewhere along the way, people started believing that they don't have any. Oh, it doesn't matter. And
Mhm. Mhm.
I can't change anything. And it's like, well, everything that has changed in life is because of someone taking it upon themselves to say, hey, no, this is wrong. Let's fix this. So that's really why I decided to just go this route and start to speak my truth about how much power we have as people. Because I just found that people don't believe in themselves, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you talked about and you brought up that point about recognizing that you have not just the skill but the profound want to communicate and to talk about these issues, because like you said, it's not even a matter of like, oh, I just want to do it. Like, you feel like there's this responsibility, like, I know how to convey these things. And having been on social media for so long, I've met a lot of folks who've said, hey, thank you for that post because you put into words things that I have felt for a very long time. And that's one of the things that I've really understood about just speaking up about your opinions in general. Sometimes it feels like you're, I don't know if I'm going to piss someone off or I'm going to, like, alienate people, but the profound reach that you could have by telling your truth, I think is a lot more worth it. And you brought up a really good point about, now we're in this really weird time. And, if we had this discussion 5 months prior, we'd probably be having a completely different discussion.
Right.
But you're here at a time when a lot of folks have either had to make life altering decisions or they're at the cusp of having to make one of those changes in the near future. I also know you're probably included in that mix of people just like the rest of us. As a motivational speaker, how have all the recent changes with the coronavirus affected your work?
What's crazy because so the month before this virus hit, my grandmother passed away.
Oh my gosh.
And my grandmother, you don't, I think we often don't realize just how important people are until they're gone. And that took a lot out of me. And
Mm-hmm.
it was hard to find my voice in all of that. My mantra is help someone today.
Mhm.
Hashtag help someone today. That's what I live by. And I found it so difficult to be able to help anyone because I couldn't help myself.
Mhm.
And it's still a process, but so after that happened, then this virus hit, and it was like the Lord, and I hate to get religious, but in my world, the
Mhm.
Lord was saying to me, take a break,
Mhm.
and you need a moment to sit this out.
Mhm.
And so it's been a moment for me to get my voice back, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because I lost it when I lost my grandmother, and I've been putting a few things out here and there content wise, but it's been a struggle because it's been very hard to say, hey, help someone and have a good day and happy Monday, happy Tuesday. And I don't necessarily feel that inside.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sad every day, but there are moments. And so this virus hitting it's a tragedy, never taking away from that. But it's been a moment for me to regroup and and kind of mourn and grieve
Mhm.
and peacefully, which again sounds so strange to say because this is
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
pandemic
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
nothing is
Mhm.
peaceful about it, okay? But this has been a time for me to regroup and kind of get my voice back from that loss. So um that's what I've been using this time for. Thankfully, I did have a 9 to 5 that I didn't love, but it paid the bills.
Mhm.
And I was, given the option to furlough or to get a severance. I chose to take a severance. So I'm able to collect unemployment. So I'm able to be as comfortable, air quote,
Mhm.
as I can be in this time. So that's what this time, it's very different for me. Again, because my grandmother passed. So this time is, um, I'm I'm looking at it as a blessing of sorts to be able to regroup.
Yeah, like just seeing this as sort of a window of, knowing that you can take this opportunity to either change something or to realize something about the way you've been dealing with your mental health, and just trying to sort of refocus and regroup. In this time of crisis, who have you in particular been listening to for assurance and encouragement? Like how does the motivational speaker stay motivated?
um, so honestly, I listen to you a lot.
Hmm.
I listen to Gary, Gary V.
Hmm.
I'm so thankful that I have such a great support system. My best friends, my mom, they are constantly in my ear. Um, I follow a lot of Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, like just people who are real. Because
Hmm.
I'm not necessarily about sugarcoating life.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think people think motivational speaking are like, oh, she's always like happy this, and it's like, no, I'm
Hmm.
I'm a realist. I'm actually, people think I'm very harsh, actually,
Hmm.
because no one wants to really hear the truth, 24/7,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's really what I'm about. So I listen to people who bring the real and who aren't afraid to address, issues that can get a little uncomfortable. So that's why, I mean, you're one of the main people because you are definitely not afraid to get a little uncomfortable, and I think it helps me to, because I often worry about hurting people's feelings,
Hmm. Hmm.
and the reality is I'm not going to make everyone happy all the time, but maybe I'll plant a little seed in someone's head that was thinking something that was completely obnoxious. Um, and maybe, just maybe, a conversation and a change can come from that. So I try to listen to people who really speak that message and are funny and just real. So those are the kind of the people that I can think of: Gary, Jada, Will, you. Um, and I do watch a lot of news, which isn't very uplifting, but uh,
Yeah, it's hard because, I mean, I know that you totally understand this, but the social media has essentially made everyone feel like, oh, okay, well, I can motivate someone, or I can go ahead and give advice. And oftentimes people who are on the outside looking in, and they've never consumed motivational content, because they think it's all like, okay, this is just like entrepreneur porn, and it's just like hustle porn, it's all whatever. But you really do have to parse through the noise, because there are scammers, and there are people who are just trying to sell their course, and they're like trying to exploit people. But then there are also people who, and it's kind of frustrating, because as big of a platform as Gary Vee has, a lot of people overlook the fact that he actually says some pretty like honest advice, and a lot more meaningful advice that doesn't have to do with just work hard and get as much money. It has more to do with like the value of you as a person and what actually makes you happy. And that's one of the things that has sort of blown my mind, is like you have said before about using this time to kind of just reflect. It sounds insensitive to say that you're trying to look at the positive side and trying to look at the silver lining of this, but that's kind of what you have to do, because all of this is different, and nobody knows how to move forward. And so it's like you have to find some sort, again, it sounds corny, but it's like you have to find some sort of positivity to at least get through this.
Yes, so it's funny, because a friend of mine just today, he asked me, how am I getting through this? And I said to him, I have my days, and I allow myself one day out of the week. This week, I think I took 2 days, but one day out of the week to not have a, coherent thought, to not watch the news, to not worry, to just eat something that is not healthy, and not care. Because I think we need that. And I told him, I have those days, but for the most part, for instance, where I live right next to a highway, the bridge. And so there's people that live there in tents. And it's like, how do I form my mouth to say, oh, this is the worst thing ever? And it's like, I have heat, I have Netflix, I have Hulu, I have Amazon Prime, like I have everything at my fingertips, what I mean? So it's like in the big scheme of things, I am blessed to be able to be in this position to ride this out comfortably. So I want to be humble in that, obviously, but I also don't want to pretend that that's not something to be thankful for.
Exactly.
And what you said is so important. I think there are so many scammers out there, but it's funny because, so when I went into it, I strayed away from social media at first, because money is not necessarily my goal. Granted, I know that I need it, obviously, to live. I do need it to support myself. But people would get upset with me when I would say, no, like, I'm not really trying to do this for money. I really genuinely want to help people so that we can change the world. I want a revolution. I want a revolution. And, I've had people be like, don't be a fool. You need to get paid. And it's like, well, yeah, money will come. I believe that. I don't doubt that. And that's why, and that's why I had a 9-to-5 until I thought I could support myself. But I think with so much noise out there, I'm thankful. And it's one thing I'm very proud of, is that I mean what I say what I mean. And I know that I'm not the only one out there, and you're a perfect example. Like, that's what keeps me, my faith, and keeps me going. Granted, don't get me wrong, we all have our days, but for the most part, I'm like, no, fuck it. Like, there are good people out there, Candice, just keep going, So